January 2013. Los Angeles, California. A city known for bright lights, endless traffic, and dreams that either bloom or collapse in silence. Among the millions of visitors arriving that winter was a 21-year-old student from Vancouver, Canada. Her name was Elisa Lamb. She was traveling alone. Elisa was not running from anything. She was exploring. She documented her journey online, posting photos, reflections, and deeply personal thoughts on Tumblr. She wrote about books, about loneliness, about pressure, about the complicated weight of existing in your early 20s. She also wrote openly about her mental health. Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression. She had struggled for years with intense emotional swings, periods of deep sadness followed by bursts of energy and racing thoughts. She was prescribed medication. She was under treatment. And by most accounts, she was trying. In January 2013, she decided to take a solo trip along the west coast of the United States. San Diego, Santa Cruz, and finally, Los Angeles. On January 26th, Elisa checked into the Cecil Hotel. The Cecil Hotel had been standing since the 1920s. Located in downtown Los Angeles, near an area known as Skid Row, the building had accumulated decades of disturbing history. Over the years, there have been suicides, violent incidents, long-term residents living in difficult conditions, stories that gave the building a reputation darker than most hotels in the city. By 2013, parts of the hotel had been renovated and rebranded, but the structure itself remained the same. Concrete walls, narrow hallways, dim lighting, a place where sound seemed to travel differently at night. At first, Elisa was assigned a shared room. Within days, her roommates complained. They described behavior that felt unusual. She left strange notes. She reportedly locked the door and asked them to say a password to enter. Some said she acted erratically. As a result, hotel management moved her into a private room. On January 31st, Elisa was last seen alive. There were no signs of a struggle, no public confrontation, no immediate indication that something was about to go wrong. Then she disappeared. Her parents, expecting daily check-ins, became concerned when they stopped hearing from her. The Los Angeles Police Department was contacted. Searches began. Days passed, then weeks. On February 19th, nearly 3 weeks after her disappearance, police released surveillance footage taken from inside one of the hotel elevators. The timestamp showed February 1st. The video would change everything. The footage begins with the elevator doors open. Elisa steps inside. She presses several buttons at once. The doors do not close. She presses them again. Nothing happens. She leans forward slightly, as if trying to see into the hallway. She steps outside the elevator, looks left, looks right, then quickly steps back in. Her movements become unusual. Her hands move in fluid, exaggerated gestures, as if she is speaking to someone just beyond the camera's view. She hides briefly against the wall of the elevator, then peeks out again. The hallway remains empty. There's no visible person, no shadow, no reflection. She exits once more. Her hands continue moving in strange patterns. At one point, she appears to wave both arms slowly, fingers bending in unnatural angles. Then she walks away. The elevator doors finally close. The video ends. When the footage was released to the public, it spread rapidly across the internet. Millions watched it, frame by frame, slowed down, enhanced, speculated. The longer people stared at it, the more unsettling it became. But while the world debated the meaning of her movements, something else was happening inside the hotel. Guests began complaining. The water pressure was low. Some said the water looked darker than usual. Others reported a strange taste. On February 19th, a hotel maintenance worker was sent to inspect the rooftop water tanks. He climbed the stairs, accessed the roof, and approached one of the large cylindrical tanks that supplied water to the building. One of the lids was open. Inside the tank was Elisa Lamb. She was found submerged in the water. Her clothing was inside with her. There were no immediate signs of physical trauma. No clear external injuries. The discovery shocked investigators. The roof was not easily accessible to guests. There were security alarms in place. The tanks themselves were tall and heavy. Questions formed immediately. How had she gotten there? Had someone placed her inside? Or had she climbed in herself? The autopsy later ruled her death an accidental drowning. Toxicology reports indicated the presence of her prescribed medications, though some levels suggested she may not have been taking them consistently. There was no evidence of assault, no signs of a violent attack. The official ruling was that Elisa likely experienced a manic or psychotic episode, leading to disoriented behavior. In such a state, perception can distort, fear can intensify. Ordinary environments can feel threatening. Elevator doors that delay closing can feel intentional. Hallways can feel watched. Silence can feel alive. It is believed she may have reached the rooftop, climbed into the tank, and been unable to escape. The tank lids were heavy. The water was cold. The walls were smooth. Once inside, getting out would have been extremely difficult. The case was closed, but the elevator video remains, frozen in digital time. A young woman alone in a confined space, looking into a hallway we cannot see, gesturing at something we cannot identify, waiting for doors that refuse to close. The Cecil Hotel still stands. The water tanks have been replaced. The room numbers have changed, but the footage continues to circulate, watched late at night, analyzed in silence, replayed and replayed. Elisa Lamb traveled to Los Angeles searching for experience, for growth, for story. Instead, her final moments became one of the internet's most enduring mysteries. Not because of monsters, not because of ghosts, but because of how fragile reality can become inside the human mind. And because sometimes the most disturbing thing is not what we see in the hallway, but what we cannot see at all.